So how's everybody doing? Welcome to another Here's the Thing at the End of the Day. It's Ricky. I'm Hank, and Ricky is here.
Yeah, yeah.
If you haven't already, please check out our Facebook page. Josh and DJ posted another Friday night roundup. Ricky, what are we talking about or discussing today?
All right, so today we're gonna, of course, be going over the playoff matchups, obviously. But not only that, we're gonna be talking about some of the head coaching changes first. Reuben Foster's arrest for possession of marijuana, and
Second,
just a couple of others.
second degree. Second
Second,
degree
yeah,
possession.
yeah. Second degree. Oh
Oh
no.
my gosh, you've got second degree possession. What were you gonna do?
Oh no. Weed.
What we gonna do here is arrest
He
this
was.
heathen for carrying around some devil's lettuce.
Yeah, devil's lettuce. Yeah, wasn't he arrested in Florida or like Tuscaloosa or something? I don't know.
He was arrested in he was arrested in Alabama.
Okay,
When I read the story originally, I guess let's talk about this first.
go ahead.
Again, when I was reading the story, I was like, as I got the update on my phone, I was like, he got arrested for marijuana possession. Isn't that like legal in California now? Because like
That's what I thought. I was like, how can you get arrested in Florida?
But apparently the police officers in Alabama have their priority. These are their priorities. You know, like the whole thing of like if a guy has 5 pounds of weed or a brick of coke, which one is the cop gonna go after? Well, obviously this time he went after the guy with 5 pounds of weed.
Weed. Nah, but me personally, I think like it's kind of annoying because like okay, and then try not to get too political because we're trying to stick with source, but unfortunately it is political. But basically, my whole thought process is that should I personally believe that all drugs should be decriminalized. I'm not saying distributed, okay? Obviously, marijuana is a completely different situation because the problem is when you throw people in jail for drugs, like you got people that murder people and they deserve to be in jail more than people that just happen to have a bunch of
Who should be in jail first? The addicts or the people who sell them to the addicts?
um the probably the people that distribute it because they're doing it in an
What if
illegal
they're
manner.
But what if they're also addicts?
Then that's a completely different situation. Because here's the thing, like there's in Portugal, for example, right?
Mhm.
But they have all drugs decriminalized, but only certain drugs are permitted to be distributed legally. So like, or you know what I mean? It's like basically like you won't get thrown in jail, but you will get fined if you get caught with it. It's like it's not like
Yeah, I'm fine with people getting fined, honestly.
yeah, like I don't have a problem if someone's fined. I have a problem when you're throwing people in jail over magic pixie dust or something. No, but
The devil's lettuce
the
is
devil what strikes back.
straight to hell.
No, but in all seriousness, though, it is very annoying knowing that and it's kind of more seen in the United States more so because it's like when you look at other countries, obviously, they have different ways of thinking, obviously. But my whole problem with this arresting for marijuana crap, well, now with the league itself, I disagree with its policy on marijuana, but they can in fact do that because they are a private organization. Like, for example, if I got to get a drug test to work at Rite Aid, which I had to do, I don't
Yeah.
see how it's a problem you have to get a drug test to be on a football field. But
Yeah.
my thing is this. Like, let's say if the NFL says, okay, marijuana, we're not going to be as hard on it as anymore. You can smoke it, blah blah blah. That's fine. I don't really care. But at the end of the day, yes, like I disagree. Don't get me wrong, but I just personally think with the NFL, because obviously I don't know what the NFL is going to do. Um, but all I could say is that look, the NFL has the right to do what they want to do as a private organization, but I very much disagree with what they do.
Yeah. I think the biggest issue is the fact that they're like, you can't you can't have this this medicinal plant that is okay to use 99% of the time. There isn't a problem, but here, down some of these pain pills and take one of these injections.
That's another problem in our society is like
Injections.
yeah, it's like
know?
yeah, like people don't realize that yes, prescription drugs are drugs as well. Like painkillers are also a drug. Like people want to be like, no, that's medicine. It's like no, 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 no. Yes, in most instances they're used for medicine, but sometimes people can get overprescribed these kinds of medicines and can get addicted to them.
Yeah.
Like morphine or other forms of painkillers, and it's just like it's horrible because no one should have to get addicted now. And obviously another thing I forgot to mention, that other countries, they don't just like people on the side of the street. No, they have rehabilitation centers. So like if someone's addicted, they will do their best to get that person not addicted and off that addiction. So like they decriminalize it, but what's key is they're not throwing them in jail, but if it's a bad situation, they're going to put you in a rehabilitation center to make sure you're better. And that's also an issue with our judicial system and the way we handle crime is like, rather than try to make the person rehabilitated into society so that they're more productive, we just throw them in a jail cell and hope that they can figure it out themselves, which tends not to work.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. So let's move on to the coaching.
Okay, cool.
How about that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So let me just tell you this right now. This has probably been the most active coaching carousel in the NFL that I've seen in my lifetime, probably, like a recent memory.
Especially when, if you didn't know, I think Tom Cable is the offensive line coach for the Raiders. It's like those Spider-Man memes where he's like looking at himself.
Yeah.
It's like that. Because Tom Cable used to be their head coach.
That's really funny.
But
I think what we should talk about is someone got like, it's kind of just like more of the assistant coaches that have been moving around a lot.
Norv Turner.
Oh my God, we got to talk about this.
Panthers. After they fired Mike Shula, son of legendary head coach Don Shula, I look at this and I think to myself, I don't think that Norv Turner's been that good. I mean, but here's the thing. You never know. Like I said, head coaching and assistant coaching, it's such a crapshoot. You never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
Usually, if you're a bad offensive coordinator on one team, you're probably going to be a bad offensive coordinator on another team.
Yeah, and and I want to bring this up as well. This is a huge issue that I personally have with some people that have like for example, like people were up in arms about the Cowboys. It looks like, I don't know if they're getting Kellen Moore to be the QB coach.
I thought that was already happening.
That's my thing. I thought it was already, but anywho, I told people to relax and give the guy a chance. Like, you got to keep in mind, like, we've had Wade Wilson since I believe 2008 or 9 or 07. I don't remember. But like, my thing is this: the QB coach's job, and obviously I'm just talking about a specific instance, is to ensure that the quarterback of the starter is has the skills refined and all that other stuff. But also, there's a capable backup that can come in if a certain situation is to occur. And Wade Wilson never did. Like, it's very paramount, especially in 2015, considering the fact that you had Brandon Weeden for more than like 2 years to develop in your system to be somewhat of a competent backup, and the guy ends up going, to a point where he doesn't win any games. He goes to Houston, and he wins 2 games to get the Texans into the playoffs. And that's what's embarrassing, is that people don't realize, give the guy a chance. It's like, yeah, I said, like, do I think he's going to be better than Wade Wilson? Me personally, yeah. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Now, I want to also bring up something. Norv Turner is bringing a lot of his family into the coaching tree of the Carolina Panthers. Like, he's bringing like 3 family members. Like, it's so. Look, I just want to get your opinion on this. Do you think that the Panthers should have fired their OC?
I don't know. See, like,
Okay.
I think I think if I was a Panthers fan, I would say yes. Have hated Mike Shula. They're one of those people, the people who believe that, we won all those games in 2015 in spite of.
I personally think this is my problem. The problem that I have, and there are situations where someone deserves to get fired but doesn't, i.e. Scott Linehan. And me personally, I don't think Mike Shula deserved to get fired. I mean, granted, I don't know the whole situation in Carolina, so, Carolina fans, take my opinion with a grain of salt. But considering the fact that he was so let me just put this into perspective. He started in 2013, okay? So they went 12-4.
After they fired Chudzinski.
Yeah, exactly. So the QB coach, by the way, he was the QB coach beforehand. So in his first year as OC, the Panthers go 12-4, have a pretty good offense. Then they go 7-8-1. They win a playoff game. Obviously, that was just down the year. Then they go 15-1. Cam gets an MVP.
Yeah.
And then they go 6-10 the following year. And then the next year they go, what was it, 11-5? Or 10-6.
I think they went 11-5.
But the point is that he has had, and I'm not trying to say, like, for all I know, I could be wrong and say that he was probably overrated because of certain instances. But considering the fact that this man has had 3 seasons as an offensive coordinator, right, that he had double-digit wins. Granted, Ron Rivera needs credit too. But considering the fact that how he was able to make the offense somewhat suitable for Cam, I don't know if the firing was a good move.
Let me ask you a question, okay?
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is an actual offensive coordinator, okay? You tell me if this offensive coordinator should have been fired. First year, 10-6. Second year, 8-8. Third year, 9-6-1. Fourth year, 11-5. Fifth year, 10-6. Sixth year, 8-8. Seventh year, 4-12.
I think I know who you're referring to, but
do you think that person deserved to get fired?
It depends on the context of the team, but like that. Here's
I'll answer the question for you. He deserved to get fired.
Yeah. Oh, I know. No. Yes. Then yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Fight of that person.
Well, here's my. Go ahead, sorry.
Go on.
Sorry, I was trying to like explain myself. So like I kind of had to think for a second. Like here's my thing. The problem is like I don't like you got to keep in mind like even though I said that like I brought up records, it also is in conjunction with context of the situation. So like for example, if it was going off a record, that person should definitely have been fired. If you're going like let me just put it to you this way. Mike Shula, at least had double-digit seasons, but what's key also is his offense was relatively effective.
Yeah, relatively. But the issue is this season the Panthers couldn't run the football.
But that's I don't know if that's more of a case of the line not being good or the fact that having Jonathan Stewart and Christian McCaffrey and determining how you can use. Like that's the thing, though. It's like you get Christian McCaffrey, right?
Yeah.
And you're kind of see me personally. I thought it was an interesting, somewhat dumb pick at that position. At that what was it, 10? And
No,
I'm like,
it wasn't 10. I thought it was 8.
or 8. It was a top 10 pick. So let me just say this: Christian McCaffrey, yes, he's talented. I think that he definitely contributed to the Panthers rebounding. My thing was it took him a bit to get going, obviously, because he's a rookie. And I don't know if he's going to have a down year or he's going to do good. Granted, we got to see what Norv Turner does, because for those that don't know, I wanted Norv Turner actually to come back to Dallas, considering the fact of the history he's had with the team. But and people forget he's a pretty good offensive coordinator.
He wasn't so good with Minnesota.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. He needs the issue is that I think it depends on the situation of the team.
Yeah, I think the major issue is the fact that I mean, especially with a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey really has no business at the running back position. No business at all. The guy honestly should be converted to receiver.
That's why I personally saw some Wes Welker in him, personally. But I mean, like, don't get me wrong. That's why when I was going over the draft, I labeled him offensive weapon, because me personally, I thought he could switch to wide receiver and still be effective.
Yeah, but he was more effective at wide receiver.
Exactly. Like, what was it? Like I forget. Like did he have more?
I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns all season.
Yeah, I personally think, like, look, this is kind of an interesting situation. Like, Ty Montgomery, wide receiver, looks better at running back, right? To an extent. And that's the problem, is like position flexibility. Don't get me wrong. I think that the Panthers can utilize Christian McCaffrey in a multitude of ways, but I think the issue is like when it's like a waste of a position then, because then because now that I'm thinking about it, if you're always making McCaffrey a part of the passing game rather than the run game, then you're pretty much, the running back position is in essence useless then for your team, because Cam Newton is your running back then.
Yeah, it was kind of like Russell Wilson, who was basically the Seahawks' whole offense. Honestly, I believe that Russell Wilson, we're not talking about MVPs, but like a part of me thinks like this guy should be the MVP, because he's basically his whole team. Like, his team scores because of him, Yeah. He has the running yards, he has the passing yards, Let's talk about another coach.
Sure.
How do you feel if you're an assistant on a team, and let's say you're the defensive coordinator, and you leave the team to be the defensive coordinator of another team?
Depends on the well, how would I feel about that?
Yeah, how would you feel if your defensive coordinator left? Like, he didn't get left.
So, like, okay.
On another team.
It depends on the team, but considering if it's in my situation, if it was Rod Marinelli that left, me personally, I would be a bit upset, but I wouldn't really care, because Rod Marinelli is kind of old. But let's say, like, let's say I'm a Giants fan, right? So, Steve Spagnuolo, he's been a fantastic defensive coordinator for them.
Yeah.
Let's say he leaves and he goes to Dallas. Oh, if I was a Giants fan, I would be so freaking mad.
Did you know who I'm talking about, though?
No, you didn't provide context.
The Bengals defensive coordinator.
Oh, where did he go?
He's Oakland's defensive coordinator.
Well, so, like, you're asking what's my opinion on, like, coordinators just becoming coordinators someplace else?
Like making lateral moves.
I don't have a problem with it, because it depends. Like, for example, like, I'm trying to think who. Okay, here's a good one. Bill Callahan. He was me personally. I think he's the reason the Cowboys resurged back to being a dominant run team.
Mhm.
The dude didn't lead to get a promotion. The dude left to become the offensive line coach of the Redskins. Like, he was the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Granted, he split duties with Scott Linehan. The problem is like, I was upset when he left because I'm like, man, I know this isn't gonna look good, and it's. But my whole thing is this: I don't have a problem with it. The problem, I think, is when it happens to your team, it sucks. But I think considering the fact that John Gruden came back, who wouldn't? Like, if you're a coach, who wouldn't want to work with John Gruden? Well,
yeah.
unless you're Al Davis, but
Sure. But Al Davis had fired many coaches before he actually needed to.
Exactly. So me personally, I just think that what was it? I just think that look, I don't have a problem with coaches moving laterally. It's just like, I guess it depends on the situation.
Mhm. That's true.
But because sometimes it's for money as well, like they're paying more. But anyhow,
and I guess before we were going to talk about Andy Reid, right? Or was that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wanted to talk about that because
let's talk about this first, and then we'll talk about Andy Reid.
Talk about who?
He's going to be the Giants' head coach.
Oh, who? Okay. It's going to be Jeff Fisher. No, I'm kidding. Lord of mercy, if they hire Jeff Fisher. Well, then again,
Jeff Fisher would be like, I am responsible for what happened on the Rams, and then John Mara's like, you're hired.
That would be amazing.
You're hired. Just if one of our players decides to beat a woman, just hide it from the league.
I ain't going effing 7-9. Yeah, he's gonna. Well, think about it, Giants fans. If you hire Jeff Fisher, you're at least guaranteed to have at least 7 wins.
I know, right?
Well, unless it's your last year. But
it's been 3.
But no, in all seriousness, though, I personally think that the Giants might go after someone. Okay, if I'm the Giants, right? Me personally, I think you hire someone with a defensive mind, whether that be a Matt Patricia. I'm kind of skeptical about Matt Patricia, but I would not be surprised if they go after him because their logic. Well, me personally, I want to go someone after with a defensive mind. My team is based off of my defense. I want to have a good defensive coach. But
if you go after Matt Patricia, you'll be going from creepy, slick-backed Italian uncle to homeless man.
But anywho, I personally think the Giants are going to go after someone on the offensive side of the ball, or yes, I understand that Ben McAdoo was supposed to be that guy, considering what he did for Eli in 2015. But my problem is that if I'm the Giants, right, the strongest part of my team is the defense. So why is it that I should go out and get an offense? Like, honestly, I can understand the logic, but I feel like that the Giants wouldn't be doing themselves a disservice if they get someone that is more offensive oriented, considering the state of how the offense is right now.
Matt Patricia have a set defensive alignment?
I want to say it's I don't know the exact defensive scheme he runs.
That would really screw with the team.
I want to say that it's I want to say it's a 3-4, but I don't know.
But I don't know if he hybrids it.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know what he does. I don't know what.
I think they're gonna get Josh McDaniels.
Yes, me personally, I think they're gonna go after Josh. Yeah, I could see that.
Josh McDaniels will immediately trade Eli Manning for a lesser quarterback.
Yeah, he's gonna get Tim Tebow.
He'll trade Eli Manning for Blake Bortles real fast.
Dude, if that happens, I would jump myself off a bridge if I was a Giants fan.
I'll be like drink based liquids.
Yeah, drink based liquids. But anywho, yeah, I think the Giants are gonna go after someone on the offensive side of the ball, oriented. right? But that's because their logic's going to be like, okay, our defense is good. We just need someone that knows the offensive side of the ball. But me personally, a head coach should.
I just don't see them keeping. I don't see Matt Patricia keeping Steve Spagnuolo if
he's not
head coach. I mean, Josh McDaniels, you could say, could probably keep Steve Spagnuolo because Josh McDaniels is an offensive guy, not a defensive guy. But
exactly.
When he coached the Broncos, the Broncos were a 3-4. I believe they're 3-4, but that was whatever. I
want to get in. Yeah.
Time is yours.
Well, he was Santa Claus, so I think that's gonna be his next job. No, anywho, in all seriousness though, if I'm the Chiefs, I am seriously considering firing Andy Reid, and here's why. Andy Reid, I'm not gonna deny. Here's my thing, right? This guy's led you to the playoffs. Well, how he came in 2013, he leads them to the playoffs, up 28 points, blows that game. The following year, I think they went 8-8 and they missed the playoffs or something. Then they come back to the playoffs at, I believe, 10-6. I don't remember their record. That year in 2015, they get kind of a freebie against the Texans, first playoff. Oh, it's our first playoff win. No, that was more of a freebie. And then they lose to Kansas City, put up a decent fight. Then the following year,
lost to Pittsburgh. I mean, they lost to New England, and then they lost to
yeah. Then by death of field goals, by field goals. And and that's another thing. That game was very winnable. The third one, and then we have this classic Andy Reid. And I want to just say this right now. Andy Reid, when he came into the league, and since I've been alive, has been arguably one of the better, depending on what you look at it, one of the better regular season coaches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'm pretty young, so people would be like, well, what do you mean, blah, blah, blah. But consider the fact that he has one of the highest win percentages.
Losing records.
But consider the fact he's had one of the highest winning percentages as a head coach since he's entered the league is astounding. And considering how long he's been in the league and still being successful just shows how good of a coach he is in the regular season. Now, when it comes to the playoffs, oh my God.
My thing is, you can fire Andy Reid all you want. The issue is the fact that the Chiefs can't win a playoff game is a systematic thing. The next guy you bring in isn't going to win very many playoff games either, because you have to understand that but before Andy Reid, the last coach that they had that won a playoff game was what's his face? Used to be the Browns head coach, used to be the Chargers head coach. I forget his name.
Marty
Schottenheimer. Yeah.
He is Marty Schottenheimer at this point. He's become
Marty Schottenheimer. But it's a systematic thing. I mean, you can fire Andy Reid. I just don't think the next guy you bring in is gonna. I mean, let's be honest. Andy Reid brought the Chiefs from being like a 2.
It was 2-14. I remember that.
1 or 2 win football team to being an 11 win football team.
Look, like I said, but that's in the regular season, though.
I know, but they've been dominant because of Andy Reid.
Okay. Well, here's my thing.
If you want them to fire him, like they could fire him, and that's fine. I mean, I won't lose any sleep over that. But the next guy they bring in is probably not going to be that good. You know?
Yeah. My logic to it is that, look, you're 1-4 in playoff games, and granted, they're probably going to keep. Obviously, they're going to probably keep him because of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
Mahomes. Mahomes. My issue is that I understand. It's not the fact that, I know Andy Reid has done tremendous work in the playoffs in some years. Like, I know he's won playoff games. Don't get me wrong. The problem that I have is that the way the playoff games went is how I have an issue with. You're up 28 points, clear, like what, in the late third quarter, and you blow that to the Colts.
Yeah.
What was the other one? You have a chance to beat you have a chance to beat the Steelers at home in the frigid cold. Granted, the Pittsburgh plays in the frigid cold, but consider the fact their offense wasn't really doing much. You had a chance to pretty much seal the game. Going to do that, and this is the most egregious of them all. You're up 18 points at halftime, but that's not the thing. I understand that sometimes football games are much closer than they seem they are. Or you're up 18 points. You have the number one leading rusher in Kareem Hunt, which you can argue that stats a bit skewed because of certain things.
Yeah.
But the point is, you give him 11 carries the whole game because you wanted to get cute, and people want to be because this is also an issue. And I'm not trying to hate on Alex Smith, but I understand this is the issue. When Andy Reid is working with Alex Smith, the problem is with Alex Smith, he's more like, okay, I'm going to get it to this guy, I'm going to get it to this guy, but nothing else. He's like, literally, it's either get to Kelsey, some other receiver, Tyreek Hill, handoff. It's just the same crap, but the problem was they wanted to get cute. They wanted to pass the ball because Alex Smith looked really good in the first quarter. Well, in the first half, I should say. And then Kareem Hunt doesn't get anything.
Yeah. You also have to understand that the Titans basically scored a touchdown in a way no one's ever scored a touchdown before.
Mm-hmm.
Like some miraculous, I threw the ball to myself.
Yeah, no. Don't get me wrong. Like, I understand that. My issue is this. Like, I knew the Titans were not just going to just have 3 points on the board. At some point, they were going to score. My problem was this, is that you know that, in a playoff game, like, and this is the problem that, and I was going to allude to the Rams as well. I'm not saying fire Sean McVay, but here's the issue. I compare a lot of these games to the Super Bowl between the Rams and the Patriots because, and I'm not trying to say that, both teams are like those teams of the past, but the point is this. The Rams clearly could have won that game, but they wanted to get cute. They wanted to pass the ball with Warner because they knew, he's a two-time MVP. He knows what he's doing, rather than run the ball. Granted, Belichick's defenses were great. The point is when you have a solid running game that you can fall back on, when you know you have a chance to win the game.
Like in this past Super Bowl.
Oh, exactly. But I will admit that the defense did get tired for the Falcons, but here's the thing. People want to be like, but the defense let them down. Don't blame Matt Ryan. Here's the thing, though. Why was the defense tired to begin with? Because the offense would go 3 and out, or drive 3 and they go out.
Fumbled too, and I think they missed a field goal as well.
Yeah. And that's those. Yeah. So anywho, that was just my little triad on that. But,
I don't think Reid should get fired. But I do think that he needs to win some playoff games.
Agreed.
So
I want to get into the playoff games.
Into the games. It's time.
So we're gonna go through each of the games, and then we'll make our picks.
Yeah.
So first game.
We need our picks too. By the way, we already know what.
Oh, yeah.
Already scores and all that too.
Yeah. So
all
let's go ahead and get into this. So first game, Hank's Eagles at home. By the way, Hank, just so you know, to get a sense of the weather, since I am on the East Coast, it did rain a bit, but unfortunately, it's not raining. But it is cold. Let me check the temperature real quick because obviously this will affect the game. It's 30 degrees. Like, it's like 40 degrees.
Also understand that the Eagles have lost 2 games to 2 teams that had never won in frigid in like under 20 degree temperatures. So keep that in mind. My feeling about this game is, nobody's giving not really anyone's giving the Eagles a chance. I mean, deservingly so. We don't have Carson Wentz on the field. But my philosophy is defense, offensive line play, not making mistakes. I think that the Falcons are a fine team this year. I don't think they're as good as they were last year, but they're still a fine team. The one thing I don't understand, I watched the game on Saturday or last Saturday, and from what I could see, they played a really good game against the Rams. But the way everybody treated that game after it happened was like the Falcons had just beat the Patriots or something that.
No. Yeah.
The Rams were a good team, but they weren't world beaters. The Rams are actually, out of all the winning teams, out of all the teams that are in the playoffs, had the worst home record.
Exactly.
I think three or four games at home. So I don't see where all of this the Falcons are amazing. The Eagles don't have a chance, but the Titans could upset the Patriots. I'm just saying that I'm glad. First of all, I'm glad that everyone's completely discounting the Eagles.
I'm not.
I'm not mad about it at all. I hope people discount the Eagles. I hope people in the media discount the Eagles. I hope discounts the Eagles.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, you want to do that because kind of you get a sense of satisfaction. But here's my issue. My problem is this, and I'm not trying to say you feel this way, but I've seen others Eagles fans and I see E-Rock did his whole video, and then trust me, I love E-Rock. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say he's bad or anything. Yeah. My thing is this: you make it seem like we're being called underdogs, but for no good reason. It's here's my thing. You're underdogs based off of what has transpired over the last couple weeks. You can prove it wrong. Me personally, I would not be surprised if the Eagles won this game. But the problem is people don't realize you're underdogs for the reasons of, number one, if Wentz was playing this game, I'm taking the Eagles hands down, obviously. But the thing is we saw how Nick Foles has played. Obviously, you don't know what you're going to get from him. We've seen him struggle, but we've seen him we saw him throw 4 touchdowns in one game.
And he should have gotten points against the Cowboys.
That too.
Should have. If Torrey Smith catches that pass, he runs 10 or 15 yards down the field, and you should have gotten points. But Foles has got to play out of his freaking mind, really.
This is the thing.
Insight. He needs to play out of his mind. He can't make mistakes. They need to run the ball 25 times in this game.
That I want to just harp on this because you bring up a solid point, because this is something I was going to bring up. The thing that annoyed me so much with the Eagles, it's not, I know I'm a Cowboys fan, so I hate them. My problem was this. And I told people this, Wentz is going to get hurt because you don't rely on the run as much. For some reason, I don't know what Doug Peterson's thinking. I don't know what Frank Reich's thinking. But my thing was this. You have LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement, and a ton of other, and the other dude. You have tons of options at running back that you can utilize. And you choose to pass the ball tons of times. And that's why Wentz got hurt. Now, I'm not trying to say Foles is going to get hurt, but you got to be careful. Because, people would be like, let's start Nate Sudfeld. Nate Sudfeld won't win you this game. That was a mirage what you saw against the Cowboys.
No, it wasn't even mirage. He threw the ball 4 yards a play.
Oh yeah.
He never even tried to get the ball down the field.
Exactly. And that's my problem, is that people don't realize, and I'm not trying to say all Eagles fans are stupid.
It was like that when Foles scored 27 touchdowns. There was still a faction of fans who were like, "We want Matt Barkley." Yeah, shut up, EDP.
Well, that's like every fan base. I mean, we got it here with the Cooper Rush fiasco people. But anyhow, look, guys, if any other Eagles fans out there, just relax. Don't get your panties in a bunch because you think that you're this is the issue I have, is people picking blowouts over Philly. I'm like, whoa, no. This is going to be a much closer game. I even have it going down to the wire.
Weird thing is, and I'm not a gambling person, and they have the Falcons -2, I would pick the Eagles.
Yeah,
like this seems like it seems like they put it there, but they're unsure. They're still unsure. You know what I'm saying? And understand, like, for anybody who's like, oh, you're a homer, you'll always pick the Eagles. This is the first time since the Eagles lost to the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC Championship game that I've picked the Eagles to win a playoff game. I picked them to lose the Dallas one. I picked them to lose the Packers one. I picked them to lose the Saints one. Why? Because those teams had better records than the Eagles, or had who I thought had a better chance. I feel like this team's defense is better than any of those defenses were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have trust in the defense. Foles needs to play mistake-free football. We can't turn the ball over. One of the biggest things that hampered the Rams last week was the fact that on a punt return and a kick return, they fumbled, which led to 10 Falcons points.
Here's my thing, right? If you're the Eagles, all you got to do is play keep away.
Yeah.
Just run the ball. Like, because people don't realize this. Like, with Wentz, you could just outscore people, but the problem is you got to do a different kind of philosophy. Yes, Foles can definitely air it out. My thing is you have to be able to run the football, establish the run, drain the clock, but what's very key is score. Because in all honesty, and I remember this vividly, especially in a playoff game versus the Giants in 2007. Well, technically it was 2008 at the time, but anyhow, this is what happened. We went down the field on an 11-minute drive, 20-play drive, scored a touchdown. Like, that looked like a fantastic move because you score points, and the Giants literally should go into the half. It should be 14-7. Then the Giants march down the field and score. So my thing is that you need to keep away, but also play good on D to the point where you're not giving up those crazy plays where that previous drive didn't even matter.
Yeah, and people understand that field goal kicking is also important because the Eagles have lost 2 field goal games. And they would have won those games if they had made 35, 40-yard field goals.
Yeah, and that's also key. The key is not trying to be too aggressive, but score. You just got to get points on the board, because if your defense can be well rested and can keep away, you're good. People do not understand the philosophy that has changed since Wentz went out. It's people want to think, because this is a problem I think Doug Peterson had as well, was that their mentality was, let's just try to outscore people, but you can't do that now. Because you've been noticing that there have been an affair of low-scoring games. So me personally, even as a Cowboys fan, trying to look as unbiased as possible, for the Eagles to win this game, run the ball, play keep away, score points, regardless of if it's field goals or touchdowns. If you're the Falcons, run the ball, get play action going, and just pretty much it's the same. Both teams have the same mentality. It's just who can do it better.
Yeah.
But I will say this, for the Falcons, if the Falcons allow the Eagles to get going, you're screwed. But at the same time, if you're the Eagles and you get the Falcons going, you're screwed as well. Yeah. So it can go either way. So let's get into scores. Unless you have anything else to say.
I have 23-17. Did I say 23-17 or 23-16?
You said 23-16.
I said 23-16 Eagles.
All right, I'm going to go 24-21 Falcons, but keep in mind that the reason why I have that score is because I said it's going to come down to the end and someone's going to kick a late-minute field goal to send whoever to the NFC Championship game. And I will tell you this, if the Eagles make it to the next round, I would not be surprised if they won again. Just saying.
Honestly, if the Eagles win this game, the national media better keep disrespecting us, because then they're going to be doing the exact same thing as they did with the Falcons. They better continue to disrespect the Eagles, because I don't want to see any fake mother effers.
Yeah, true. I'm going to sincerely laugh, and before we move on, because EDP is actually at the game.
We lost. We lost.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but here's my thing. And just to all your Eagles fans out there, and I will admit, he actually had to drive 6 hours from 3 a.m. down to Philly on game day So I have to admit that is, I've I've had to deal with crazy stuff too. But my issue is this, and for all you other Eagles fans out there, if you guys lose, I don't blame Nick Foles or whoever because it won't be their fault.
Here's
Because
the thing. If the Eagles lose this game, I still consider this to be a successful season, being as the fact that they were only supposed to win 8.5. Vegas only had the Eagles winning 8.5 games this season, and
I just want to say
better.
I just want to say before we move on that I actually predicted that Atlanta would get back to the NFC Championship and also Philly would make the playoffs. So I don't know which one's gonna be right, or both could be right.
You don't know. All right.
But anyhow, let's move on to the other game today.
Patriots game.
The Patriots game. So for those that don't know, I kid you not, and people forget about this. The spread is the Patriots are favored by 13.5 points. When there's a spreadsheet like that,
I hate those games.
Yeah, I hate that because that's such a bad vibe. Because I think they were, remember 2008 or 2007 favored by, what was it, like 13.5 points. Same thing to the Giants. Ends up losing that game. So I just want to go ahead and say this outright. Does Tennessee have a chance to win this game? It's extremely slim, but I did talk about this and when I was doing my other prediction video on the other channel I do. I said that if the Titans want to win this game, run the ball, play keep away, just stop the Patriots on offense. But, and this is what's crazy, Hank. People don't understand that this Patriots defense is not really that good compared to, it's arguably one of the worst since 09 or 010 or 010. But I don't think it's, but just because I say it's the worst doesn't mean it's horrible, but you get the point.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to judge how good teams are from season to season. I'd say that this team is on par with their 2012 team, I would say.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, when you have a 13.5, if you're favored by 13.5 points, get ready for a letdown. Because you won't be winning, but you probably won't be winning by 13.5. In that situation, I would pick the Titans. I mean, if you're gambling, I would pick the Titans at plus 13.5.
No, look, me personally,
I agree with you. I think the Patriots are still going to win this game.
No, me personally, I'm just saying to give hope for Titans fans. Just ways they can look. I'm not saying me personally. I got Patriots winning this game all day, but my thing was I'm just expressing ways they can win the game. Considering how I saw how they played against Kansas City.
Titans can win the game by stopping the run and being you can play man to man against the receivers. The only issue is the Patriots are that team that always runs pick plays and illegal pick plays. And Gronk is just a beast. You can't cover him with a linebacker because a linebacker is too slow, and you can't cover him with a safety because the safety is too small.
That's key because if Gronk,
you're just gonna have to man up on Gronk. You're gonna have to get your hands on him. You're gonna have to hold him before the pass is thrown. I mean, you might get a penalty, but I mean that's really the only way you can stop him.
I will tell you this, Hank, and that is if for some reason Gronkowski whether he gets hurt or he's very well covered and the game's close, I'm scared if I'm New England and obviously people are like, well, Bill Belichick, he gets rid of your best weapon. Well, here's my thing. If for those that have noticed, and I have seen the Steelers game was a great example of this, and if they meet again, which I have happening, spoiler.
I don't.
Whatever. Anyhow, if they can limit Gronk, because that's the thing. Gronk was of course, Brandon Cooks kind of started going early, but if Gronk is covered or he gets hurt and is out of the game or is removed from the game, like through the game, play or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm kind of and the score's close. Like this isn't like if it's like double, but I'm still kind of worried if I'm New England because if the Titans can get a running game going and can get their offense going, I'm getting kind of worried. But
You
never.
You also have to understand that one of the reasons why the Patriots don't play as well, you need to send guys after Brady. I know that Gronk didn't play against the Dolphins, but one of the things that the Dolphins did that made them really successful in the game was they brought guys.
Yeah,
they
they
weren't
brought boys
after him, but I know that Gronk on the Patriots, Gronk off the Patriots is a very different team. But what score do you have for the game?
31-17. New England moves on to another AFC Championship game.
I believe I picked them to be 28 or 24-14.
Let me see. It was 28-14. Yep.
28-14. So yeah, I would still say pick the I would say pick the Titans 13.5 down because I said 24 or 28-14, but I don't think that the score is going to be that high. I don't think the Patriots are going to have any points.
Yeah, same.
I just pick that because it seems like the kind of score a Patriots game would be, like not even looking at the spread.
Alrighty, let's move on to another game. So I personally think that thank God these are the Sunday games because me personally these two games are going to be really good.
Yeah.
So first game up, we have a rematch that was I believe in week 5 of the Jags versus the Steelers, and the later game which we'll get into later is the Saints. Also another rematch, by the way, Saints and Vikings of week 1 on Monday Night Football. So
the Jaguars Steelers, the Jaguars are coming in again. I'm gonna pick the Jaguars again because I think Antonio Brown may or may not play. I don't know what how he's gonna be. I just like the Jaguars defense. They've just been playing out of their mind.
True, but my thing is this. I'm going to pick Pittsburgh, but here's why. Well, let me explain how both these teams can win. If you've watched, like as on Red Zone or whatever, they kept showing the freaking Steelers game. But from what I saw, if the Jaguars defense can somehow create turnovers and become the offense, they will win this game. Because what's crazy is that if you remove all the turnovers that they made plus the garbage time touchdown, the score is tied 9-9. So it's kind of like basically the Jaguars, they got to rely on their defense to get them past this game. And it's kind of ironic because the last time they won a playoff game or these two teams matched up, the Jaguars beat them.
Jaguars beat the Steelers in the 2007-2008 playoffs.
Yeah, so here again, I personally think Pittsburgh's going to win this game because, well, look, if Le'Veon Bell if he struggles to get a running game going, Jaguars got a chance. As long as they can keep the score close, and if Pittsburgh starts rolling the ball and they get going, if I'm Jacksonville, I'm screwed because I don't allow Blake. If I'm the Steelers, make Blake Bortles beat you. If he does, congratulations, you did what you had to do. But the reason why is if you watch that playoff game versus the Bills, like Blake Bortles did not look that impressive. Granted, it was against a tough defense, but also Pittsburgh also has a tough defense. Granted, and I'm not trying to say that they're going to win by a blowout. I don't have that kind of a score line. But just look. Yeah, go ahead.
I like the way that they played Blake Bortles on that touchdown scoring drive because it was very effective.
Mm-hmm.
I think Blake Bortles ran for a lot of yards, so they'll have to watch out for that. I just think that the Jaguars have too good of a defense right now.
Yeah,
they have the best defense right now in the whole playoffs.
I agree. Yeah,
better defense than Minnesota. They have a better defense than Minnesota.
Oh yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
And what was the score I put? I think like 8.
It was 15-14.
15-14.
Jags winning. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think from where I am, I think that I think that I put it like that because I think the Jaguars are just going to kick field goals.
Me personally,
That's my thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna sincerely laugh if the Steelers get karma. Well, not karma, but you get the point. Like they get death by field goals, considering that's how they advanced to the AFC Championship game. So I think that would be kind of funny. But anyhow, I have a score of Steelers winning 20-17 off of a game-winning field goal from Chris Boswell. That's just, I will tell you this, that if that happens, oh Lord, that would be too funny.
Then the next game is the Saints-Vikings game.
Yep, and that is going to be another good one. And me personally,
it's a different Saints team.
It really is. It really is, because that's what I'm worried about if I'm the Vikings, because if you go into this game with the same approach you took in week 1, you will lose this game. I do have the Vikes losing, but I'm about to explain. Now, there's a couple of things. Number one, there's a history of the Vikings choking in the playoffs, but throwing that aside, not only that, the team normally hosting the Super Bowl doesn't, even if regardless if they're hosting a playoff game, that also tends to be a curse. But again, I just think that Case Keenum, like people would be, well, Case Keenum's going to lead us there, but he's Case Keenum. At some point, he's going to come back to Case Keenum and be like, well, we could just put Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Bradford in. No. Even if you put him in late, it's not going to win you this game. No disrespect. It's going to be a close game. But
I favor the Vikings more. I think that the Vikings can score some points against the Saints team.
Oh, same. I'm not denying that. I mean, me and you have the same score, except different teams winning.
Very weak against the Panthers. Not saying that they're a weak team. It's just that if you watch that game, it was a lot closer than what it should have been. If the Saints were smart, they would have punted on that last drive.
Mm-hmm. That
play was so stupid because all the Carolina Panthers DB had to do was knock it down. Don't intercept the ball.
If he had knocked it down, the Panthers would have probably won that game.
Probably. I would say they would have probably won.
Yeah. But getting back to the discussion, I just kind of find it funny how, people want to say the Vikings, people that think the Vikings are going to blow out the Saints, you got another thing coming. The Saints always, like people forget that they got Drew Brees, and he's my and then by the way, New Orleans and the Pittsburgh Steelers were my Super Bowl pick before the playoffs started. With New Orleans winning. But the reason why is because the last thing you want to do is go up against an experienced quarterback, especially like a guy like Drew Brees. Now, I will say that Minnesota I'm not writing off Minnesota. Not at all. I have it being 24-21. Me and you have the same score. It's just different teams winning.
Okay. Yeah, I have the Vikings winning because I think they have the better defense. And I think that they've had a week to rest, and they definitely looked the most out of all the playoff teams in the NFC. They looked the most impressive coming off of Week 17.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that Minnesota. I don't know what is it, but Case Keenum has become this phenom, and also Adam Thielen of all people, which is crazy. And congrats them. Like I feel extremely proud of them. Like congratulations. You break the mold of Jeff Fisher, Case Keenum, which I really wanted it to be a matchup between the Rams and the Vikings just for the sake of hilarity with two Jeff Fisher QBs.
Two Jeff Fisher QBs. Because Nick Foles is also Jeff Fisher QB.
That also is kind of funny too, considering the fact that like all three of them
made the play. Yeah. I think that the playoffs are going to be really exciting this year. They've already been exciting as it is. I just hope that what happens is good for the Eagle. I just wins. That's all. That's all.
I just want to say this right now. If the Titans, the Jaguars, the whoever wins the Philly Atlanta game, or Minnesota wins. If all those 5 teams win, or whoever gets to the conference championship, I would not care who won, because at that point it's whoever gets to the Super Bowl is going to win their first one. And me personally, like, if Philly makes it to the Super Bowl, as much as I hate Philly, I would fine, just get a ring, get it over with. But I would not be I personally want the Vikings to win it, because I think that, considering how bad of a legacy that team has had, for it to finally end, especially
Ellie's dad is her parents are Vikings fans.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But look, all I'm gonna say is that Skull Viking. No, I'm kidding. No, because I think the Saints are gonna win. But look, all I'm gonna say is that the wild card round had some pretty good games. I'm hoping that I just hope they're not bad games. Like, even if the Philadelphia Eagles get blown out, just please let it be a good game. I just want a good game. Because as a football fan, that's all I want.
AD, reports saying that Foles will be benched quickly if he struggles today. My answer is why.
Wait, who? Who said that?
Hawk Hater TV, JD. I don't agree with that. I don't know why.
That would be the dumbest decision.
That's the dumbest thing in the world, because not in the world, but Nate Sudfeld is like, Foles did more to win that game. Foles did more in that game than Sudfeld did in the whole entire game.
But I will say this. I will say this. Look, Nick
I also don't believe reports either.
I'm not the person to ask why. I just relaying what I saw. No, we're not kind of trying to shoot the messenger, brother. But it's just like, we're just responding. Obviously, I just think, look, I will tell you this right now. If Doug Peterson does what that report says and loses that game, like, I would sincerely crucify him, because I'm like, why would you do that? Because, let me just put it to you this way. If it's a close game, right, somehow, whether the defense is carrying them and they still manage to lose that game, I would still crucify Doug Peterson for taking Nick Foles out. Because Nick Foles, if it's a close game and he does that, I'm going to go on a whole triad. Even as a Cowboys fan, I think that's retarded.
This isn't like Alabama against Georgia, and they take Jalen Hurts out of the whole game, and then this redshirt freshman wins it for them.
Yeah, but that was a completely different situation, because
Sudfeld doesn't have the type of firepower as whatever his name is.
Whatever. But speaking of the college football championship game, screw you, Alabama. No, I'm kidding. I really could care less. I'm a Penn State fan. We'll be there next year. Unfortunately,
Gary Sandusky.
Shut up. We don't talk about him anymore. But anywho, so kind of to close out, just hoping for good playoff games. I really don't care who wins personally, as long as it's a good game. But I will tell you this: I hope the coaches don't botch it up, because I will get mad.
No, a few will, and not mine.
No, trust me. Like, even as a Cowboys fan, if the Eagles somehow manage to botch the game, I'd still get ticked off.
I know. I always do, because I always hope for perfection. I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah, exactly. Everything must be perfect.
I'm a perfectionist. I'm perfect. All right.
So I think that just about wraps it up.
And don't die.
Yeah, don't die. Especially you, Nick Foles. Even if you lose,
don't drink base liquids.
That too. Already.
All right. I hope everyone has a good day. Watch some good playoff games. I think the Eagles one starts in about 2 hours.
Yes.
Don't die.
Yeah.
Don't die. Please don't die.
Yeah.
If you die, I will seriously kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're talking.
Peace, guys.